Tennessee Homestead. How the heck are you today? I got kind of a serious video to put up today, but I might have to really tread carefully because YouTube has even tightened down its stranglehold to where they are literally, any videos that contradict the narrative are being removed from the platform. So I'm going to try to be very cautious in what I have to say on this. Please understand. Okay, yeah, and I'll tell you about some other stuff going on. Kind of fun. Or at least interesting. Okay, let's start off with what's going on. As you've probably all heard, Texas has filed a lawsuit to the Supreme Court against some of these states that are seeming to have some issues with their voting practices and so forth, how things were set up. Won't get into all the he said, she said on it because it moved through the state courts pretty quickly, which was what the goal was, honestly, was to get it to the Supreme Court. Now, everybody's thinking, oh, this has to be resolved in a matter of days because they picked the electors. According to the Constitution, they don't absolutely have to pick electors till the 20th of January. Correct. Yeah, that's the only deadline set for that. So that is flexible and can be pushed back. That being said, basically what the lawsuit has to do coming out of Texas was they were pretty much saying that they changed these rules at the last minute, changed the way the state was voting, violated some state constitutions in at least one state that they could point to, things of this nature, okay? And Texas is saying, hey, that just doesn't affect you guys. What you do in your state's, one thing. But it affects all of us here. And I kind of said that a while back. Yeah, maybe they need to come up with some federal guidelines for these elections. They do really affect everybody, okay? This is the only time that the craziness in California affects the rest of the country. And kind of a different election altogether. So, needs to be addressed. Now, since that suit was launched a couple of days ago, you now have 17 other states that joined in with it. I'm going to read these off. Listen closely to see if your state is on the list. All right, that's step number one. Talking Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Montana, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Utah, and West Virginia. If your state was on that list, sends hugs and kisses to your state's attorney and wish them well. If your state was not, and you are living in a predominantly red state, this is just dead, man. It's time to talk to your governor, your state's attorney, and your legislators. Okay? Tell them, why aren't we in the middle of this? There's a reasoning behind this. Now, this is not their legal reasoning, but we are very close to having half of the states of this country involved in this suit going into the Supreme Court. If you add to that other states to where you have 50% or more of the states standing there going, no, this was not right. We want a good, clean election because this does affect all of us. It's going to add some weight to what the state of Texas is saying. So it's very important to your states and to you, because basically, let's say there was fraud. Not saying there is, just saying if. Right now, I'd say it sounds like a few mistakes were made. If one person made a mistake, it just took out your vote. Think about that for a minute. If you were living in Minnesota, it just took your vote away. If they made a lot of mistakes, it took a lot of votes away from a lot of people all over this country. That is not correct way to have an election. And there are some discrepancies. Now, I did hear one, and I think that came from either the New York Times or one of those, where they have tested one machine in Georgia, and it's really got the Georgia legislator now special session, which the governor so far has refused to do. Now they put up a petition that they're circulating. I guess they get enough signatures on this petition, they can call it on their own, and that's what they're planning to do. And they're going to probably send their own electors to the college. So, God bless them, and glad to see they're doing something right. They only tested one machine from what I understand. But that one test showed out of a stack of ballots for each candidate. When they ran them through the machine and then pulled the totals, should have been a draw, and it was not a draw. As a matter of fact, votes were taken away from Trump and applied to the Democratic candidate. Now, could just be that that's one machine that is malfunctioning. Maybe they just had the luck of the draw. But it does warrant these machines being audited. And that's basically what the states are asking for. We got to put the brakes on this thing. We've had too much foot dragging. We need to actually go in, get these audits done, be sure that we've got a good election. That's all they're asking for. And I think that the Democratic Party should want that too. They probably aren't going to like the way things go after this, if they don't. So you're going to see the administration tied up in lawsuits coming from states about every other day, things of this nature. The legislators, California actually got 4 additional Republicans in the House. Wow. Yeah, and they're going after the governor. They may get him. So, things are changing. If you live in a red state, it is time to get on the phone today with your Secretary of State, our state's attorney's office, with your governor and with legislators, telling them, hey, we need to get involved in this. The more people standing in that line, the more the Supreme Court's going to look at it hotter and heavy. I would love to see them have enough states get in line to actually have enough to amend the Constitution if need be, because that's what the Supreme Court would be looking at. Okay, we're going to do this for you here, but you guys need to push through, have Congress push through an amendment to the Constitution to fix this permanently and get it done. And I do think that a set of federal election laws should be laid down. I don't care how California wants to vote. I don't care if they won't allow illegal aliens to vote in their local elections. That is their business in the state. They are technically a nation state. But when it comes to affecting the other states, we need some uniform laws. And that's probably where this whole thing has pretty much showed it. We need some pretty uniform laws. Just get it straightened out, get it put together. Everybody is playing by the same rules. And I got to be quite honest with you, what I would like to see from this point forward is people who are counting ballots be broke up by party. Have a Democrat sitting next to a Republican, sitting next to another Democrat who's got another Republican sitting next to them, and then having Democrat and Republican poll watchers looking over everybody's shoulders. Okay? Now, that may mean you and me need to volunteer as poll watchers. And same thing for the Democrats. They're going to need the extra help. But we need to have a solid election. I don't care who wins. I do, because this whole Red China mess has got me a little concerned, and now it's for another video. But as long as it's a fair election, I don't have a problem. Everything I'm hearing and seeing on this, that's a lot of affidavits, it's a lot of people saying a lot of things, and it just seems like the political machine is trying to roll over some of these people. I would like to see a more fair and partial, let's look at this, when they start closing out the poll workers and blocking off their access to see what's going on, that is ripe for fraud. Whether any fraud took place or not, it is ripe for fraud. Okay? And we need to alleviate that in our elections. We shouldn't have that. The American public should know that when they go and vote, their vote got counted once, not 50 times, and that it was a fair election. And then we can go kick the can or kick the dog in the butt because we're ticked off because our guy lost. That's fine. Okay, that's expected. But at least you know the other guy won fair and square. There was no hanky-panky. But some of the things that have come out in this one doesn't look good. You know, busted water mains that didn't happen. And, you know, videotapes of things being drug out from underneath tables and then sudden spikes in counts during that time frame. There's something wrong with that. And that should not have been happening. Sorry. And I hope Georgia steps up to the plate and takes care of it. Their legislature seems to be very serious about it. Same thing with Arizona. I don't hold my breath for Nevada because I know Nevada. Okay. Whew. And a lot of those folks screw their socks on in the morning. They're pretty crooked. But if we get this straightened out, get some fair federal election laws, because when these states vote, they affect all of us. And we need everybody to be on the same page. Okay? It's only once every 4 years. And in between time, they can go run amok however they want to. But once every 4 years, that affects all 50 states. This bulk mailing. Voting is not necessarily supposed to be easy. That's why they call it a civic duty. Well, a civic fun thing. A civic duty. Now, the Democratic Party has always pushed for, we want it easy. Well, that's because we want them to be able to sit in their recliner, watching the soap operas, munching popcorn, fill out a ballot, stick it in their mailbox, and that's it. Well, you can do that with a regular absentee ballot. But you're going to have to pick up the phone, you're going to have to call them, you're going to have to request a ballot, you're probably going to have to give them some information, and if your voter registration isn't straightened out, you're probably going to have to go down there and produce some identification and get it straightened out. That's too much work for the Democratic Party. No, we don't want our people to have to do that. And they always use the same story, that disenfranchises the poor. Let me tell you something. If the poor can line up down at the Apple store and buy their latest, greatest iPhones and things of this nature, I'll almost bet you that they're smart enough to take care of this little issue. I'd get mad if somebody told me because you're poor, because you're a minority, you don't have enough sense to vote. I'd walk up and slap that politician. Who do you think you're talking to, man? Let's get it set up and set up right. And if states want to put in additional safeguards, like we want voter ID, that's their business. Making an election more secure is one thing. Making it less secure like we've done here in 2020, that's something entirely different. And this was not a very secure election, and now we have all this up in the air. It's time to stop that. I think we need federal guidelines, and if that means amending the Constitution to get that done, then that's what needs to happen. And it'll be right there in the Constitution in black and white, and there you have it. This is how your state will vote during presidential election. So hopefully that clears it up. Hopefully they don't take this down. So if you get to this little blank spot there where the video used to be, understand, which makes me even a little bit more concerned over the fact the way the media and tech is handling this. When you start trying to cut back people's free speech, and I don't think a word I'm saying here is derogatory toward either party. When you start shutting down speech between U.S. citizens, using your power to do that, then maybe you need to go away. I can guarantee you, I'm really going to edit this thing down and so forth, and I'm not a big YouTuber, okay? I'm not. But I can guarantee it'll be the last video I make on YouTube, because at that point in time, I'll be their worst badmouther. I will be spreading the word of how this platform giving you a shot. Times you're very fair, other times not so much. So let's try to do it right. The news needs to go out to people. And the mainstream media is not doing much of a job. Although everything I've talked about here is out of the mainstream media. Anyway, like I said, if your state's not on that list, you need to get a hold of your state. You can get them to join. Get them to join. This is Rick, Tennessee Homestead. Love yous. Appreciate yous. You have a great day. And I'll talk to you real soon.